Ah yes, another week, another shameless tone-deaf cash grab by Hollywood. This time it's rich people trotting out a remake of a beloved classic revenge drama that we neither wanted nor deserved. To be honest, I didn't even know it was still happening after all the various director and cast changes. Anyway, my initial reaction to the trailer was this.
30 hours of pain! All at once!
Although instead of 3 hours of pain all at once, it was 3 minutes, and that was enough for me. Instead of making me want to see this remake, it made me reflect on my feelings about the original, which are quite unique compared to my other favourite films. The Crow is a cult classic film directed by Alex Proyas and released in 1994. The movie is based on the comic book series of the same name by James O'Barr. The Crow film follows the story of Eric Draven, portrayed by the late Brandon Lee, who is resurrected from the dead by a mystical crow a year after he and his fiancée, Shelley Webster, are brutally murdered by a gang of thugs on Devil's Night, the night before Halloween. With supernatural abilities granted by the Crow, Eric sets out to seek vengeance on those responsible for his and Shelley's deaths. As Eric hunts down each member of the gang, he confronts both the physical and emotional scars left by their actions. Along the way, he forms an unexpected bond with a young girl named Sarah, who reminds him of his lost love and gives him a renewed sense of purpose. However, Eric's quest for revenge attracts the attention of the city's corrupt authorities and puts him on a collision course with the sinister crime lord Top Dollar and his sadistic henchmen. Ultimately, Eric must confront his own mortality and the choices that led him to this path as he seeks to break the cycle of violence and find redemption. The Crow faced tragedy during its production when its star, Brandon Lee, the son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee, was accidentally killed on set during the filming of a scene due to a malfunctioning prop gun. Despite this tragic incident, the film was completed using stunt double special effects and rewritten scenes. The movie's dark and atmospheric tone was achieved through its gritty urban setting, stylized cinematography, and haunting musical score. Despite the tragic circumstances surrounding its production, The Crow was a moderate commercial success, grossing over $50 million worldwide against a budget of around $23 million. Critically, The Crow received mixed to positive reviews upon its release. Critics praised its stylish visuals, Brandon Lee's performance, and its unique blend of action, romance, and gothic elements. However, some critics found fault with its violent content and perceived lack of depth in its storytelling. Several aspects of The Crow have contributed to its enduring popularity and cult status over the years. Brandon Lee's performance. His portrayal of the brooding and vengeful Eric Draven is widely regarded as one of his most iconic roles, showcasing his charisma and physicality. Visual style. The film's dark and atmospheric visuals, including its gothic-inspired set designs, moody lighting, and stylish cinematography, have become synonymous with its distinctive aesthetic. Cult following. Over the years, The Crow has developed a dedicated cult following, with fans celebrating its dark romance, tragic hero, and iconic imagery through conventions, fan art, and merchandise. Overall, The Crow remains a beloved and influential film that continues to captivate audiences with its dark romance, stylish visuals, and timeless themes of love and revenge. The true story behind James O'Barr writing The Crow is also tragic and a deeply personal one. O'Barr began creating the graphic novel after experiencing immense grief following the death of his girlfriend Beverly, who was killed by a drunk driver. Stricken with grief and a desire for catharsis, O'Barr channeled his emotions into his art, using The Crow as a form of therapy to cope with his loss. O'Barr's personal experiences heavily influenced the tone and narrative of The Crow, imbuing it with a raw and emotional authenticity. There were a few sequels to The Crow film: The Crow City of Angels in 1996, The Crow Stairway to Heaven 1998 TV series, The Crow Salvation 2000 film, The Crow Wicked Prayer 2005 film. Of those, I seem to only remember The Crow Salvation as being not bad, and I think The Stairway to Heaven I've actually watched on DVD. And maybe I'll do a Crow franchise review soon. If you haven't watched the original Crow film, please stop watching this video and watch it as soon as possible, because I don't want to spoil your viewing experience of it. I saw The Crow, I think, when I was in my early teens on VHS, and I seem to remember it being compared to Batman in terms of how dark it was. But in my opinion, The Crow is far darker than Batman, visually and thematically. And I wonder if it's the knowledge of Brandon Lee's death that's what elevates the tragic atmosphere. If you watch The Crow without knowing about Brandon Lee's background, please comment below your feelings. The Crow film is in my top 20 films of all time, and to me it's a haunting film that doesn't let go after you've watched it. The pitch black atmosphere creates a palpable, dark and hostile city. Graham Revell's score adds a sad, ethereal quality. It's also blackly comic with some brilliant dialogue and reactions from the various goons that Eric Draven kills throughout. There's also the legendary voice of Michael Wincott as the chain-smoking boss Top Dollar.
Nice outfit. Not sure about the face, though.
Tony Todd also appears in the film, well known for his role as Candyman. Brutal fight scenes with no CGI guns, excellent thumping music throughout, and feels like a dark adult movie made in a different era. I generally don't think we experience these kind of films anymore. Perhaps maybe John Wick, I suppose, in terms of the levels of violence, but there's something about The Crow's atmosphere that gets under your skin. And the film oozes melancholic menace, and yet also a very sad romantic tone too. So with this all in mind, let's take another look at the trailer. Now, as a disclaimer, no one wants to slate a film before the films are released, okay? I used to work in film and TV full time, and films are very difficult to get made, let alone make a good one. And I'm sure there are some good intentions in there somewhere beyond the obvious financial imperative. And remakes such as The Ring helped kickstart interest in all the other films, so if anything, this new trailer coming out has maybe reignited people's interest in pursuing the original. However, if we put aside the obvious remake motivations, looking at the trailer, there are already some warning signs for me. Now, I am more than happy to be proven wrong when this film comes out that maybe it's one of the best sequels to The Crow ever made, okay? But at this point, these are what is worrying me about the trailer. The aesthetic looks copy and pasted from pretty much every other Hollywood release. These sort of oversaturated, garish colours that make it look a bit like a music video. And yes, it might kind of look slick, but the world of The Crow is not slick, okay? In the original film, the world of The Crow is much more like Gotham City. It's relentlessly dark. It's based on a very dark graphic novel. It's goth, it's gothic. It's a horrible, depressing place to be. And here, in this trailer, it kind of just looks like a slick music video made by rich people, so it doesn't seem to have the same sort of gritty atmosphere. Bill Skarsgård is an incredible actor in It and the other films that he's done, and I'm sure he's given it his all, but I can't make up my mind just yet about him in the trailer. But at least the death scene is different. He isn't being shot, it's through suffocation, so at least they've tried to distinguish this a bit from the original. Danny Huston is seen, I guess, playing Danny Huston. He's pretty good at playing a smug sociopath, but again, it feels a bit generic. Contrast this to Top Dollar, the chain-smoking, gravelly-voiced crime boss who was brilliant. So again, I'm not overly excited by this choice of villain. And also, the world of The Crow has this almost disgusting, you can almost smell the cigarettes in the rooms of The Crow. That's how gross and grey and dark the film is, like someone's coughing over you. And I don't get that feeling from this trailer. There are one or two nice touches in the trailer. I like the line about Eric being motivated by love, not anger, and there's some cool shots which look like interesting scenes. The online reaction to the trailer hasn't been particularly good. If you look at a number of comments on the YouTube trailer, it's quite negative and full of jokes about this is one franchise that should have been left to die. Other comments range from actually the original director Alex Proyas questioning why it was made beyond the monetary motivations. I suppose the overriding question is, should The Crow even be a film franchise at all? I think it's tricky to say. I think, technically there are all sorts of people that die with unfinished business, so The Crow could help more than one person to return to life for a short while, and perhaps maybe there is mileage in a radically different story, or maybe even a female Crow, for example, just to try and make things a bit different. Perhaps in this trailer, they might be leaning into more of a John Wick approach, so Eric Draven's relentless quest to get to the top of the criminal food chain results in a lot of people being killed John Wick style. Maybe that could work. Draven's quest for revenge throughout the criminal food chain and his pain of losing Shelley is the emotional heart of the movie. The viewer is dragged along with him, but interestingly, along the way, Draven does help some people see the error of their ways, so he's not just a relentless killing machine. There's some quite touching moments between him and a single mother, and she realises that her child deserves better. And so throughout the film, whilst there is violence, his actions also inspires those that live to view life differently and perhaps better themselves and others around them. So the bottom line from the trailer, at this point, unless there are rave reviews, I might only catch it on streaming one day, and maybe it'll fare better than the Crow sequels at least. But vote with your wallets, remember. Instead, buy the original film and read the comic. The film hits its 30th anniversary this year, as it was released back in May 13th, 1994, so perhaps they could do a re-release screening. But sometimes, just sometimes, a film is made once that should be left to rest in peace. Thanks for watching. I'd love to see your comments about your experiences with The Crow below.